The Brunelli's crystalline faces betrayed no emotion as they delivered their verdict. Humanity's feelings were useless. Ironically, those same useless emotions would soon become the universe's last hope. In 2150, Earth's skies lit up with the arrival of the Brunelli, an advanced alien race. Their massive ship, a gleaming construct of impossibly smooth surfaces and pulsating energy fields, dwarfed humanity's orbital stations. As the world watched in awe, the Brunelli's emissary, Ceres, materialized in the United Nations Assembly. Ceres, a being of silicon and crystal, stood motionless as her hive mind processed the cacophony of human reactions. Fear, excitement, curiosity, all foreign concepts to the purely logical Brunelli. With a voice like grinding glass, she delivered a chilling message. A cosmic anomaly threatened to erase the universe from existence. The Brunelli possessed technology beyond human comprehension, yet their analytical minds had failed to find a solution. In desperation, they turned to Earth, not for our science or our resources, but for something they considered primitive and irrational, our emotions. Logan Carter, a 35-year-old astrophysicist known for his unorthodox approaches, found himself thrust into the center of this cosmic crisis. Selected to represent humanity in a joint task force, Logan boarded the Brunelli ship orbiting Earth. The vessel's interior was a maze of crystalline structures and pulsating energy conduits, alien and cold. As Logan familiarized himself with Brunelli technology, he faced constant skepticism from the logical aliens. They struggled to grasp human concepts like intuition, empathy, and creativity. Ceres, assigned as his liaison, watched Logan's every move with detached curiosity. The true nature of the threat became clear as Logan accessed the Brunelli's databanks. A void of nothingness expanded across the universe, consuming matter, energy, and even the fabric of space-time itself. Entire galaxies vanished, erased from existence as if they had never been. Conventional Brunelli methods had failed to slow its inexorable advance. Logan's mind raced as he processed the information. The void's expansion was accelerating and Earth lay in its path. They had months at most before their home galaxy faced oblivion. The weight of this knowledge pressed down on Logan, a suffocating pressure that the Brunelli could never understand. As he worked, Logan began to suspect that the solution might lie not in suppressing human emotions, but in embracing them. This idea challenged the very core of Brunelli beliefs, threatening to upend their entire worldview. Logan knew he faced not only a scientific challenge but a cultural one as well. With time running out and the fate of the universe hanging in the balance, Logan found himself navigating complex alien politics and overcoming vast cultural barriers. He had to prove the value of humanity's emotional intelligence to a race that saw feelings as evolutionary baggage. The irony wasn't lost on Logan. Humanity's greatest weakness in the eyes of the Brunelli might just be the key to universal salvation. As the void crept ever closer, Logan steeled himself for the challenge ahead. It was time to show the universe the true power of human emotions. Logan's first days aboard the Brunelli ship were a crash course in alien communication. The vessel's crystalline corridors echoed with the constant hum of the hive mind, a noise that set Logan's teeth on edge. He found himself surrounded by beings who moved with eerie synchronicity, their faces impassive as they processed information at speeds his human brain could barely comprehend. In the ship's main research chamber, Logan stood before a group of Brunelli scientists, their crystalline bodies refracting the room's soft blue light. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for another attempt at explaining his latest theory. Imagine intuition as a form of rapid pattern recognition, Logan said, gesturing to the holographic display of the void's expansion. Our brains process countless data points subconsciously, allowing us to make split-second decisions without conscious thought. The Brunelli scientists remained motionless, their multifaceted eyes fixed on Logan. After a moment, one of them spoke, its voice a grating crystalline tone. Your explanation lacks empirical basis. How can decisions be made without conscious analysis? Logan ran a hand through his hair, frustration mounting. It's not about analysis. It's about feeling, about trusting your gut instinct. Gut and instinct? Another Brunali tilted its head, the movement unnaturally precise. Explain how digestive organs relate to decision-making. Before Logan could respond, Ceres stepped forward. Her crystalline form towered over him, her voice sharp with impatience. Logan Carter, we require concrete solutions, not abstract concepts. The void continues to expand. Galaxies are being erased from existence. We need data, not feelings. Logan met Ceres's gaze, fighting the urge to look away from her unsettling, multifaceted eyes. I understand your frustration, Ceres, but human emotions and intuition are complex. They can't always be quantified or explained in purely logical terms. Ceres's form shimmered, a sign Logan had learned to interpret as agitation. Then perhaps they are of no use to us in this crisis. As the days wore on, Logan felt the weight of his task bearing down on him. He spent hours poring over the Brunali's data on the void, searching for patterns that might unlock its secrets. The vastness of the threat was overwhelming. Entire galaxies vanished in the blink of an eye, leaving behind nothing but empty space. One evening, as Logan stared at the holographic display of the void's expansion, something clicked in his mind. The pattern of the expansion wasn't uniform. It pulsed and fluctuated in a way that seemed familiar. Ceres, Logan called out, his voice echoing in the empty research chamber. Can you show me the void's expansion rate over time? Ceres materialized beside him, her crystalline form shimmering into existence. With a wave of her hand, the holographic display changed, showing a graph of the void's growth. Logan's eyes widened as he studied the data. These fluctuations, they remind me of human brainwave patterns during emotional states. Ceres's form stiffened. Explain. Look at these spikes, Logan said, pointing to the graph. They're similar to the patterns we see in human brains during intense emotions like anger or fear. What if the void isn't just a cosmic anomaly? What if it's a sentient entity experiencing extreme negative emotions? The research chamber fell silent. Logan could feel the weight of the Brunali hive mind processing his words. After what felt like an eternity, Ceres spoke. Your theory is illogical. To attribute emotions to a cosmic phenomenon is absurd. Logan stood his ground. Is it any more absurd than the existence of the void itself? We're dealing with something that defies our understanding of the universe. We need to think beyond conventional logic. Ceres remained silent for a long moment. Finally, she said, "What do you propose?" "Let me use your advanced sensors to analyze the void's behavior," Logan said. "If I'm right, we might be able to find a way to communicate with it." Reluctantly, Ceres agreed. Over the next few days, Logan worked tirelessly, analyzing vast amounts of data from the Brunali sensors. As he studied the void's fluctuations, his initial hunch grew stronger. The patterns matched human brainwave activity during states of extreme emotion with uncanny similarity. As Logan made progress, tension on the ship grew. News arrived of more galaxies consumed by the void. The Brunali High Command, led by the imposing Commander Zax, began to consider abandoning the joint mission with humanity. In a tense meeting with Commander Zax, Logan made his case. "Commander, I believe we've been approaching this problem from the wrong angle. If the void is indeed a sentient, emotional entity, we need to try communicating with it on an emotional level." Zax's crystalline form seemed to darken. "And how do you propose we do that, human?" Logan took a deep breath. "We use your technology to broadcast emotional messages towards the void. It's a long shot, but at this point, what do we have to lose?" The Brunali scientists in the room erupted into a cacophony of crystalline voices, some dismissing the idea outright, others cautiously intrigued. Commander Zax raised a hand, silencing them all. "Proceed with your experiment, Logan Carter," Zax said, his voice cold. "But know this, if it fails, we will abandon this mission and focus on saving our own species." With the pressure mounting, Logan worked with a team of Brunali scientists to create a device capable of translating human brainwave patterns into energy signals that could be projected across vast distances of space. As the device neared completion, Logan volunteered to be the first test subject. On the day of the experiment, Logan lay on a crystalline platform, surrounded by humming Brunelli technology. Ceres stood nearby, her form tense. "Are you certain about this, Logan Carter?" she asked. "The strain on your neural pathways could be severe." Logan nodded, his heart made. "We're out of options, Ceres. This has to work." As the Brunelli scientists activated the device, Logan felt an intense pressure building in his skull. His vision blurred, and he gritted his teeth against the pain. In his mind, he focused on emotions of peace, empathy, and hope, willing them to reach across the vast emptiness of space to touch the cosmic void. The ship's sensors detected a minute change in the void's expansion pattern. It wasn't much, but it was the first response they'd seen to any of their efforts. As the experiment concluded, Logan lay exhausted on the platform, his body drenched in sweat. Ceres approached him, her crystalline form shimmering with an emotion Logan couldn't quite identify. "Your dedication is admirable, Logan Carter. Perhaps there is value in your emotional approach that we have overlooked." As Logan recovered from the experiment, he knew they were on the right track. The void had responded, however slightly, to the emotional broadcast. But time was running out, and the Brunelli remained divided on whether to continue supporting his unconventional approach. Logan stared out at the stars from the ship's observation deck, his mind racing. They needed to find a way to amplify the emotional signal, to fully engage with the cosmic void before it was too late. As he watched distant galaxies twinkle, unaware of the threat racing towards them, Logan knew that the real challenge was just beginning. As the thought crystallized in Logan's mind, the ship's intercom crackled to life. "Logan Carter, report to the main research chamber immediately." Ceres' voice rang out, her tone urgent. When Logan arrived, he found the chamber buzzing with activity. A group of younger Brunelli scientists huddled around a holographic display, their crystalline forms shimmering with what Logan could only describe as excitement. One of them, a slender Brunelli with iridescent facets, turned to face Logan. "I am Lyra," she said, her voice tinged with curiosity. "Your experiment has yielded fascinating results. We wish to study your emotional processes more closely." Over the next few days, Logan found himself at the center of an intense study. Lyra and her team subjected him to a battery of tests, monitoring his physiological responses to various stimuli. They exposed him to images, sounds, and even scents designed to evoke different emotional states. As Logan lay in a crystalline chamber, electrodes attached to his temples, Lyra's voice came through a speaker. "We are about to show you a series of images. Please allow yourself to experience whatever emotions arise naturally." The images flashed before Logan's eyes: a sunset over Earth, a child's laughter, scenes of war and destruction. With each image, Logan felt his emotions surge and ebb. The Brunelli scientists watched in fascination as the readings on their instruments fluctuated wildly. "Remarkable," Lyra murmured, her multifaceted eyes fixed on the data streams. "The neural pathways activated during these emotional responses are far more complex than we anticipated." As the experiments progressed, Logan noticed a shift in the Brunelli scientists' behavior. They began to ask him questions about his feelings, trying to understand the subjective experience behind the data they were collecting. However, not everyone on the ship shared this newfound interest in human emotions. Commander Zack summoned Logan to the bridge, his crystalline form looming over the human. "Logan Carter." Zack's voice was cold and sharp. "While your methods have shown some promise, we require more substantial results. You have 1 week to demonstrate significant progress, or I will be forced to order the evacuation of our colonies in the Void's path." The ultimatum sent a chill through Logan. He knew that evacuation would mean abandoning countless worlds to oblivion. With renewed perseverance, he returned to the research chamber. "We need to think bigger," Logan announced to Lyra and her team. "What if we could create a device that amplifies and projects human emotional energy on a massive scale? We could use the ship's power core to boost the signal, reaching the void with unprecedented strength." The proposal sparked a heated debate among the Brunelli crew. Some saw it as their last hope, while others dismissed it as a dangerous waste of resources. As discussions raged, Logan and Lyra began work on the design of the emotion amplification device. Their progress was interrupted by a sudden lurch of the ship. Alarms blared as the crew rushed to their stations. Logan watched in horror as the holographic display showed a nearby star system being consumed by the void. The system housed a small Brunelli research outpost. The loss of Brunelli lives sent shockwaves through the ship. Logan felt a wave of empathy wash over him, his heart aching for the lives lost, even though he had never met them. Lyra, observing him closely, noticed something unusual in her readings. "Logan," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "Your empathetic response. It's producing brainwave patterns unlike anything we've seen before. This could be the key to understanding human emotions, particularly compassion." As they worked tirelessly on the emotion amplification device, Logan noticed Ceres behaving strangely. The usually stoic Brunelli liaison seemed distracted, her crystalline form flickering occasionally. "Ceres, are you all right?" Logan asked during a rare moment of downtime. Ceres turned to him, her multifaceted eyes swirling with confusion. I am experiencing unfamiliar sensations, Logan Carter. Your persistence, your empathy for our lost colleagues. These concepts are alien to my logical mind. I find myself drawn to them." Before Logan could respond, Ceres flickered and vanished, leaving him pondering the implications of a Brunelli experiencing emotions. The construction of the emotion amplification device proved to be a monumental challenge. Integrating human brainwave patterns with Brunelli technology was far more complex than anticipated. Logan pushed himself to the limit, working days on end without sleep. Lyra became his constant companion, her natural curiosity about human emotions complementing Logan's intuitive approach. Together, they made several key breakthroughs, each one bringing them closer to their goal. As the deadline approached, tension on the ship reached a fever pitch. Commander Zax, under pressure from Brunelli High Command, issued a final warning. "If this experiment fails, we abort the mission immediately." The night before the scheduled test, Logan was making final adjustments to the device when he heard a commotion in the hangar. He arrived to find Lyra grappling with another Brunelli scientist, Vex, who had been vocal in his opposition to Logan's methods. "He was trying to sabotage the device," Lyra shouted, her crystalline form flickering with agitation. The physical confrontation shocked the normally peaceful Brunelli crew. As security separated Lyra and Vex, Logan realized just how much was at stake. The next morning, Logan was surprised to see a group of human scientists and volunteers arrive from Earth. Their presence brought a new energy to the ship, as the Brunelli were exposed to a wider range of human personalities and emotional expressions. As the humans were briefed on the experiment, Logan made his final preparations. The emotion amplification device dominated the main hangar, its massive form connected directly to the ship's power core. It was designed to capture and amplify the emotional output of multiple humans simultaneously, projecting it as a focused beam towards the void. Logan took his place in the device alongside the other human volunteers. He could feel the anticipation building in the room, a mix of hope and fear palpable in the air. Commander Zax's voice came over the intercom. "Logan Carter, this is your final chance. The fate of countless worlds rests on this experiment." Logan closed his eyes, centering himself. He thought of Earth, of the Brunelli, of all the lives hanging in the balance. He felt a surge of emotions, hope, fear, dedication, compassion, coursing through him. "Initiating power-up sequence," Lyra announced, her voice steady despite the tension. The device hummed to life, energy coursing through its circuits. Logan felt a tingling sensation spreading throughout his body as the machine began to amplify his emotional output. As the power levels climbed, Logan opened his eyes, meeting Lyra's gaze. In that moment, he saw something in her multifaceted eyes that he never expected to see in a Brunelli, a flicker of emotion. The device reached full power, bathing the hangar in a soft, pulsating light. Logan took a deep breath, knowing that the next few moments could determine the fate of the stars. Emotional projection commencing, Lyra's voice rang out as the device focused its energy towards the looming void. Logan concentrated all his mental energy on projecting feelings of peace, empathy, and hope into the cosmos. As the machine amplified these emotions, he felt a connection forming, a tendril of consciousness reaching out across the vast emptiness of space. For a moment, everything was still. Then the ship's sensors erupted with activity. Alarms blared as data streamed across every monitor. Logan felt the device's connection falter, the tenuous link to the void wavering. "Maintain focus," Lyra shouted over the commotion. "We're detecting fluctuations in the void's expansion rate." Logan gritted his teeth, pouring every ounce of his concentration into projecting emotions outward. The other human volunteers around him strained visibly, their faces contorted with effort. For hours, they cycled through a spectrum of feelings: empathy, joy, compassion, each broadcast carefully monitored by the Brunali scientists. As time wore on, Logan's vision began to blur. His head pounded, and he felt as if his very essence was being drained away. Yet he refused to disconnect, even as Ceres approached with concern etched across her crystalline features. "Logan Carter, your vital signs are reaching critical levels," she warned. "You must cease this immediately." But Logan shook his head, gasping out, "No, we're so close, I can feel it." Suddenly, a hush fell over the room. On the main view screen, the void's expansion had visibly slowed. Pockets of space that had been consumed began to reappear, the inky blackness receding ever so slightly. Commander Zax's voice crackled over the intercom, a note of disbelief in his usually stern tone. "Impossible. It's working." The human volunteers exchanged exhausted but triumphant glances. Logan allowed himself a small smile, but he knew their work was just getting started. As the experiment continued, Logan noticed a change in the Brunali crew. Those who had been skeptical now watched with rapt attention, their crystalline forms shimmering with what could only be described as excitement. Lyra worked feverishly at her console, her movements more animated than Logan had ever seen. "The void's response patterns are evolving," she announced. "It's as if it's learning, adapting to our emotional input." Just as hope began to swell within the assembled crew, disaster struck. The void pulsed, emitting a massive burst of energy that slammed into the ship. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks, and the lights flickered ominously. "All power to shields," Commander Zax bellowed. "Shut down the emotion amplification device immediately." Logan felt the machine powering down, the connection to the void severing abruptly. He stumbled from the platform, his legs weak and unsteady. Around him, chaos reigned as Brunali and humans alike scrambled to assess the damage. Through the haze of exhaustion, Logan noticed something strange on one of the few functioning monitors. The energy burst from the void had left behind a residual pattern, one that looked eerily familiar. "Wait," he called out, his voice hoarse. "Look at this energy signature. It's similar to human brainwaves." Lyra rushed to his side, her multifaceted eyes widening as she analyzed the data. "He's right," she breathed. "The void. It might be trying to communicate with us." This revelation sent shockwaves through the assembled crew. The Brunali leadership erupted into heated debate, their usually calm demeanors shattered by the implications of Logan's discovery. "We cannot risk further contact," one faction argued. "The safety of our ship and crew must take priority." "But we're on the verge of understanding the very nature of the universe," countered another group. "We cannot abandon this opportunity." As the argument raged, Logan noticed Ceres standing apart from the others. Her crystalline form seemed to be shifting, pulsating with an inner light he had never seen before. "Ceres?" He approached her cautiously. "Are you all right?" She turned to him, and Logan gasped. Her eyes, usually so impassive, now swirled with a kaleidoscope of colors. "Logan Carter," she said, her voice trembling. I feel everything." Before Logan could respond, Commander Zax's voice cut through the din. "Enough!" he roared, silencing the squabbling crew. He fixed Logan with a penetrating stare. "Logan Carter, you have brought us to this point. What do you propose we do now?" Logan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of countless lives resting on his next words. "Commander, I believe we need to attempt one final communication with the Void, but this time we need to modify our approach." He outlined his plan quickly, aware of the skeptical looks from some of the Brunali crew. "We'll channel all the emotional energy through a single point, me. A focused stream of human emotion might be more effective in establishing clear communication with the Void." Murmurs of concern rippled through the assembled crew. Lyra stepped forward, her voice imbued with worry. "Logan, the strain on your neural pathways could be catastrophic. You might not survive." Logan nodded grimly. "I understand the risks, but the fate of the stars is at stake. We have to try." Commander Zack studied Logan for a long moment, his crystalline features unreadable. Finally, he nodded. "Very well, Logan Carter. We will make this final attempt. But know this, if at any point I deem the risk too great, I will terminate the experiment immediately." As the crew rushed to make the necessary modifications to the emotion amplification device, Logan found himself standing alone at the viewport. The Void loomed before him, a yawning emptiness that threatened to consume everything he had ever known or loved. He felt a presence beside him and turned to see Ceres, her form still shimmering with newfound emotion. "Logan Carter," she said softly, "I do not fully understand these feelings, but I believe the human term is, I am afraid for you." Logan managed a small smile. "I'm afraid too, Ceres, but sometimes fear is what drives us to do the impossible." As the final preparations were made, Logan took his place at the center of the modified device. The air crackled with tension as Brunali and humans alike watched in anticipation. Lyra's voice came over the intercom, steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Initiating power-up sequence. Logan, are you ready?" Logan closed his eyes, centering himself. He thought of Earth, of the countless worlds facing annihilation, of the Brunali who had become his allies and friends. He felt a surge of emotion, love, hope, commitment, rising within him. "I'm ready," he said, his voice calm and resolute. "Let's talk to the Void." The machine hummed to life, and Logan felt the familiar rush of energy coursing through him. But this time, it was different, more intense, more focused. He could feel every cell in his body vibrating with the force of the emotional projection. As the beam of concentrated human emotion lanced out towards the Void, Logan opened his mind, reaching out across the vastness of space. And in that moment, as the fate of the stars hung in the balance, he felt something respond. The Void pulsed, its energy patterns shifting and swirling. And deep within its unfathomable depths, something awakened. The Void's response was unlike anything Logan had ever experienced. A surge of consciousness flooded his mind, overwhelming his senses with alien thoughts and emotions. He struggled to process the vast influx of information, his body trembling with the effort of maintaining the connection. Suddenly, a violent tremor shook the ship, throwing Logan and the others off balance. Alarms blared throughout the vessel, their urgent wails echoing through the corridors. "Multiple hull breaches detected," Lyra shouted, her crystalline form flickering with agitation as she frantically worked her console. "We're losing atmospheric pressure in sections 3, 7, and 9. Commander Zax's voice crackled over the intercom, his usually calm tone tinged with urgency. "Emergency protocols activated. All non-essential personnel proceed to escape pods immediately." Logan staggered to his feet, his mind blown from the abrupt severing of the connection with the Void. He watched in horror as crew members rushed past, their faces etched with fear and confusion. "The launch systems are malfunctioning," a technician called out, her voice rising in panic. "Most of the escape pods are inoperable." As the gravity of the situation sank in, Logan realized they were trapped on a rapidly deteriorating ship, with the Void's expansion accelerating around them. He turned to Ceres, whose form seemed to pulse with an inner turmoil that mirrored the chaos around them. We need to do something, Logan said, his voice hoarse but determined. The void. I think I can use it to save us. Ceres tilted her head, her eyes swirling with a mix of emotions Logan had never seen in a Brunali before. How, Logan Carter? The ship is failing. We are out of options. Logan's mind raced, piecing together a desperate plan. The emotion amplification device. We can use it not just to communicate with the void, but to manipulate it. Maybe we can convince it to repair the ship. Commander Zax approached, his crystalline features set in a grim expression. That is too risky, Logan Carter. We cannot endanger the remaining crew with such an untested theory. Before Logan could argue, the ship lurched violently. Through the viewport, they watched in horror as the void's expansion suddenly accelerated, tendrils of nothingness reaching out towards their crippled vessel. Commander, Lyra called out, her voice tight with tension. At this rate, the void will engulf us in less than 30 minutes. Zax's form shimmered, a sign of intense internal conflict. After a moment that felt like an eternity, he nodded sharply. Very well, Logan Carter. We have no other choice. Proceed with your plan. Logan, Ceres, and Lyra sprang into action, working feverishly to modify the emotion amplification device. They cannibalized components from other ship systems, rerouting power and reconfiguring circuits with desperate speed. As they worked, Logan noticed the human volunteers assisting with emergency repairs throughout the ship. Their resourcefulness and adaptability in the face of alien technology was impressive, a testament to humanity's problem-solving skills. Ceres worked alongside Logan, her movements becoming more fluid and expressive with each passing moment. Logan, she said, her voice filled with a newfound warmth, I believe I understand now. This feeling, it is hope, is it not? Logan managed a small smile despite the dire circumstances. Yes, Ceres, that's hope, and right now it's all we've got. As the void closed in around them, Logan activated the modified device. He took a deep breath, centering himself as he had done before. But this time, he channeled a complex tapestry of emotions, willpower, hope, and an unyielding will to survive. The machine hummed to life, emitting a pulsing glow that seemed to push back against the encroaching darkness. For agonizing seconds, nothing happened. Logan could feel the despair rising among the crew. Then, miraculously, the void's expansion slowed. Tendrils of energy, shimmering with an otherworldly light, reached out towards the Brunali ship. Where they touched the hull, the damage began to repair itself. Breaches sealed, and malfunctioning systems flickered back to life. The crew watched in awe as their ship was gradually restored. Logan pushed the emotion amplification device to its limits, his body trembling with the effort. Warning alarms blared, indicating the machine was overheating. Logan, you must stop, Commander Zax ordered, his voice urgent. The device is at risk of catastrophic failure. But Logan refused to shut it down. We're so close, he gasped, sweat beading on his forehead. I can feel it. We're on the verge of understanding. The ship's sensors suddenly detected a massive energy buildup within the void. The Brunali scientists exchanged worried glances, unable to determine if this was a positive development or a precursor to destruction. With a blinding flash, the void released a pulse of energy unlike anything they had ever encountered. It washed over the ship, temporarily disabling all systems. For a heart-stopping moment, everything went dark and silent. When the systems rebooted, the view outside had changed dramatically. The void was no longer an expanding nothingness, but a swirling, iridescent phenomenon that defied description. The ship's sensors struggled to interpret the new readings, indicating a fundamental shift in the void's nature. As the crew tried to process this transformation, they realized Logan was slumped over the emotion amplification device, unconscious. Ceres and Lyra rushed to disconnect him, their movements frantic but careful. Get him to the medical bay immediately, Commander Zax ordered, his voice tight with concern. As Logan was carried away, the Brunali ship hovered at the edge of the transformed void. The crew's relief at their survival was tempered by apprehension about what they had unleashed. The nature of the void's transformation and its implications for the universe remained a mystery. In the medical bay, Ceres stood vigil over Logan's unconscious form, her crystalline structure pulsing with worry. The ship's medical AI worked tirelessly, analyzing Logan's condition and attempting to determine the effects of his intense emotional broadcast. Meanwhile, on the bridge, Commander Zax and Lyra pored over the flood of new data streaming in from their sensors. The void's transformation had opened up a wealth of scientific possibilities, but also raised countless questions. "Commander," Lyra said, her voice filled with a mix of excitement and trepidation, "these readings suggest that the void is communicating, not just with us, but with the very fabric of space-time itself." Zax's crystalline form shimmered as he processed this information. If that's true, we may have just witnessed the birth of a new form of cosmic consciousness. The implications are staggering. As the Brunali ship hung in space, poised on the brink of a new era of discovery, the transformed void continued to swirl and pulse. Within its depths, patterns formed and dissolved, hinting at mysteries yet to be unraveled. And in the medical bay, Logan Carter lay still, his mind bridging the gap between human understanding and the vast, unknown potential of the cosmos. Consciousness, bridging the gap between human understanding and the vast, unknown potential of the cosmos. Logan's eyes fluttered open, his vision blurry and unfocused. The sterile white ceiling of the medical bay slowly came into view as he blinked away the disorientation. He tried to sit up, but felt a firm hand on his shoulder, gently pushing him back down. "Easy there, Logan Carter," said a deep, resonant voice. "Your body has been through quite an ordeal." Logan turned his head to see a tall, male Brunali with iridescent scales standing beside his bed. The alien's crystalline structure pulsed with a soft blue light that seemed to convey a sense of calm professionalism. "I'm Dr. Thax," the Brunali introduced himself. "You've been unconscious for several hours. How do you feel?" Logan opened his mouth to speak but found his throat dry and scratchy. Dr. Thax offered him a small cup of water, which Logan gratefully accepted. After a few sips, he managed to croak out, "What happened? The void, did we stop it?" Dr. Thax's crystalline features shifted in what Logan had come to recognize as a Brunali expression of uncertainty. "The situation with the void has changed, but first I need to assess your condition. Can you tell me the last thing you remember?" Logan furrowed his brow, trying to piece together his fragmented memories. "I was channeling emotions through the amplification device. There was a surge of energy, and then nothing." He looked up at Dr. Thax, a hint of panic in his eyes. "Why can't I remember anything after that?" "Temporary memory loss is not unexpected given the intense neural stress you experienced," Dr. Thax explained, his tone reassuring despite its alien cadence. "Your memories should return gradually. For now, we need to focus on your recovery and monitor for any long-term effects." As Dr. Thax began a series of scans, Logan's gaze drifted to the viewport across the room. His eyes widened in astonishment at the sight that greeted him. Where once there had been an encroaching void of nothingness, now a swirling, iridescent phenomenon filled the view, its colors shifting and pulsing in mesmerizing patterns. What is that?" Logan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Before Dr. Thax could answer, the medical bay's door slid open with a soft hiss. Commander Zax entered, his crystalline form shimmering with an intensity that betrayed his agitation. Behind him followed Lyra, her young face alight with excitement. "Logan Carter," Commander Zax began, his voice carrying its usual authoritative tone. "It is good to see you awake. We have much to discuss." Lyra stepped forward, her eyes darting between Logan and the swirling phenomenon visible through the viewport. "Logan, the void, it's transformed, and we believe it's because of you." Logan struggled to sit up, this time succeeding with Dr. Thax's assistance. "Transformed? How?" Commander Zax gestured to Lyra, who activated a holographic display above Logan's bed. It showed a series of complex energy readings and data streams that Logan could barely begin to comprehend. The void has ceased its expansion, Lyra explained, her voice brimming with almost unchecked enthusiasm. It's now emitting low levels of energy that appear to have regenerative properties on nearby matter, but that's not all. She paused, her eyes meeting Logan's. The energy signature, it matches the patterns we observed during your emotional broadcasts. Logan's mind reeled as he tried to process this information. Are you saying that human emotions change the void? Commander Zax's form pulsed with what Logan had come to recognize as the Brunali equivalent of a sigh. That appears to be the most likely explanation, though it defies all logical understanding. As they discussed the implications of this discovery, Logan became aware of a presence in the doorway. He looked up to see Ceres hovering there, her crystalline structure swirling with a kaleidoscope of colors he had never seen in a Brunali before. Logan Carter, Ceres said, her voice carrying a warmth that seemed almost human. I am glad to see you awake. Logan smiled at her, noticing the way her form seemed to pulse more vibrantly when their eyes met. Ceres, are you all right? You seem different. Before Ceres could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Commander Zax's form immediately tensed, his crystalline structure becoming rigid and sharp-edged. Commander, Lyra called out, her hands flying over a nearby console. We're detecting a massive energy surge from the void. It's expanding again. Logan felt a surge of adrenaline course through him, temporarily pushing aside his fatigue and disorientation. We have to do something, he said, swinging his legs over the side of the bed despite Dr. Thax's protests. Commander Zax turned to Logan, his alien features set in a grim expression. Logan Carter, I need to know everything you experienced during your connection with the void. Our survival may depend on it. As Logan struggled to recall the details of his experience, the ship shuddered violently. Through the viewport, they watched in awe and terror as the transformed void began to pulse with increasing intensity, its swirling colors becoming a maelstrom of cosmic energy. Commander, Lyra called out, her voice tight with tension. The void's expansion. It's different this time. It's not consuming matter, it's integrating with it. Commander Zax's crystalline form shimmered with nearly unleashed agitation. Prepare a shuttle for immediate launch. We need to investigate this phenomenon up close. As the crew rushed to prepare for this dangerous mission, Logan locked eyes with Ceres. In that moment, a wordless understanding passed between them. Whatever the outcome, they would face this cosmic mystery together, human and Brunali, united in the face of the unknown. The fate of both their species and perhaps the entire universe hung in the balance as they prepared to confront the transformed void and unravel its secrets. The alarms continued to blare as Commander Zax's crystalline form shimmered with urgency. He turned to face the medical bay's occupants, his voice cutting through the cacophony of warning signals. We've lost contact with Logan. The void's expansion has accelerated beyond our initial predictions. We must act now. Dr. Thax's scales pulsed with concern. Commander, Mr. Carter's condition is still unstable. We can't risk... We have no choice, Zax interrupted. Prepare the emergency rescue probe. We need eyes inside that void. As the medical staff bustled around Logan's unconscious form, Lyra's fingers flew over the nearby console. Commander, the probe is ready for deployment. I've equipped it with our most advanced sensors and communication array. Zax nodded, his crystalline structure reflecting the urgency of the moment. Launch immediately and patch the feed through to the main bridge. The probe shot out from the Brunali ship, a sleek silver projectile racing towards the swirling, iridescent mass that had once been a void of nothingness. As it penetrated the outer layer, the ship's sensors lit up with a flood of new data. On the bridge, Lyra's eyes widened as she processed the incoming information. Commander, the energy structure within the void, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. The complexity is off the charts. Zax leaned in, studying the holographic display. Can you make sense of it? Lyra shook her head, her young face creased with concentration. It'll take time to decipher, but one thing's clear. This isn't just a transformed void. It's something entirely new. As the science team worked feverishly to interpret the data, a commotion in the medical bay drew Zax's attention. He arrived to find Ceres doubled over, her crystalline form pulsing with an intensity that filled the room with a kaleidoscope of colors. Dr. Thax hovered nearby, his medical scanner whirring. "I've never seen anything like this. Her physiology is undergoing a radical transformation." Ceres straightened, her eyes meeting Zax's with a newfound clarity. When she spoke, her voice carried a depth of emotion that sent ripples through the assembled Brunali. "Commander, I can feel him. Logan, he's alive within the void, but he's struggling. I can help him." Zax's form shimmered with skepticism. "Ceres, what you're suggesting is—" "Possible," she interrupted, her voice firm. "My transformation has awakened abilities I never knew I possessed. I can establish an emotional link with the void and with Logan." Dr. Thax interjected, his tone cautious. "Commander, I'd like to run some tests before we consider this course of action. We don't fully understand the extent of Ceres's transformation." Zax nodded, his crystalline structure pulsing with the weight of command. "Proceed, Doctor, but make it quick. Time is not on our side." As Dr. Thax subjected Ceres to a battery of tests, Lyra's voice came over the intercom. "Commander, you need to see this." Back on the bridge, Lyra pulled up a holographic display of the surrounding star systems. "The void's expansion has accelerated exponentially. At this rate, it will engulf nearby Brunali colonies within hours." Zax's form hardened, edges becoming sharp and angular. "Begin evacuation procedures for all threatened systems, Priority 1. As the ship erupted into a flurry of activity, Dr. Thax's voice cut through the chaos. "Commander, I've completed my analysis of Ceres. Her transformation appears to have enhanced her natural abilities, particularly her capacity to transmit and receive emotional energy. If she believes she can establish a connection with Logan through the void, I see no physiological reason to doubt her." Zax turned to Ceres, studying her transformed form. After a moment of silent deliberation, he spoke. "Very well. Prepare a shuttle for immediate launch. Lyra, oversee the installation of a miniaturized emotion amplification device calibrated to Ceres's physiology." As the crew rushed to prepare the shuttle, Ceres approached the viewport, her gaze fixed on the swirling mass of the transformed void. She placed a hand against the transparent material, her crystalline structure pulsing in sync with the void's undulating patterns. "I'm coming, Logan," she whispered, her voice carrying a mix of dedication and an emotion she was only beginning to understand. Within the hour, Ceres's shuttle approached the outer layers of the void. The ship shuddered as it penetrated the iridescent barrier, its systems fluctuating wildly under the assault of emotional energy. Inside the cockpit, Ceres closed her eyes, reaching out with her newfound senses. The void's emotions washed over her, a chaotic mix of wonder, fear, and an overwhelming sense of potential. And there, at the heart of it all, she felt a familiar presence. "Logan," she breathed, guiding the shuttle towards the source of his emotional signature. As Ceres delved deeper into the void, tendrils of energy lashed out at the shuttle. The ship's experimental shielding held, but alarms blared as the strain increased. Drawing on her deepening understanding of emotions, Ceres projected a powerful sense of calm and purpose. The void's turbulence subsided, allowing her to maneuver closer to Logan's position. Suddenly, Ceres sensed change. A stable pocket had formed within the chaotic energies of the void. Guiding her shuttle into this area, she found herself face to face with a sight that defied description. Logan's physical form had dispersed, his consciousness spread thin across the fabric of the void. Yet his essence remained, a swirling vortex of human emotion and cosmic energy. Ceres activated the modified emotion amplification device, focusing all her newly awakened abilities on the monumental task of reintegrating Logan's dispersed form. As she worked, Ceres realized the true complexity of the challenge before her. Simply reforming Logan's body wasn't enough. She needed to help him retain the vast knowledge and experience he had gained while merged with the void. The effort pushed her transformed abilities to their absolute limit. Outside the void, aboard the Brunali ship, Commander Zax received a priority communication from the High Command. His crystalline form pulsed with alarm as he processed the information. "Lyra," he called out, his voice tight with urgency. "What's the status of the nearby systems?" Lyra pulled up a holographic display, her eyes widening in astonishment. "Commander, you're not going to believe this. The void's expansion has slowed, but... Sir, we're detecting unprecedented phenomena in the affected areas. Dying planets are rejuvenating. Barren worlds are springing to life. It's as if the very fabric of reality is being reshaped." As the implications of this revelation rippled through the crew, a new alert sounded. Zax's form tensed as he received the transmission. "A Brunali warfleet approaches," he announced, his voice grave. "They carry experimental weapons designed to disrupt the void's energy patterns. Their orders are to neutralize what they perceive as an existential threat." The bridge fell silent as the weight of the situation settled over them. Zax stood at the center of it all, his crystalline structure reflecting the conflicting emotions surging through him. On one side, his duty to the Brunali High Command and the perceived safety of their civilization. On the other, the rescue mission and the potential for a discovery that could reshape their understanding of the universe. As the warfleet drew closer and Ceres' shuttle remained deep within the transformed void, Commander Zax faced the most crucial decision of his long career. The fate of individuals, civilizations, and the very nature of reality itself hung in the balance. The universe held its breath, awaiting his choice. Decision. His crystalline structure pulsed with a mix of duty and defiance as he turned to address the bridge crew. "Lyra, position our vessel between the incoming fleet and the void. We must buy time for Logan and Ceres." The young officer's eyes widened, but she nodded, her fingers flying over the console. The research vessel shuddered as it maneuvered into position, a fragile barrier against the approaching armada. Zax's voice rang out, clear and resolute. "Open a channel to the fleet commander." The viewscreen flickered to life, revealing the stern visage of Fleet Admiral Vex, his crystalline form sharp and unyielding. "Commander Zax." Vex's voice crackled with terrifying anger. "You will stand down immediately and allow us to neutralize this threat." Zax stood tall, his form shimmering with conviction. "Admiral, I implore you to reconsider. This transformed void is not a threat, but an opportunity. Our sensors have detected unprecedented phenomena in the affected areas. Dying planets rejuvenating, barren worlds springing to life. The very fabric of reality is being reshaped." Vex's form pulsed with skepticism. "Preposterous. Your judgment has been compromised, Commander." "Perhaps," Zax conceded, "but not in the way you think. We have team members inside the void, including a human named Logan Carter. They may hold the key to understanding and harnessing this power for the benefit of all Brunali." As Zax continued his impassioned plea deep within the void, Ceres faced her own desperate struggle. The shuttle's interior pulsed with a riot of colors as she focused all her newly awakened abilities on the monumental task before her. Logan's dispersed consciousness swirled around her, a nebulous cloud of human emotion and cosmic energy. Ceres activated the modified emotion amplification device, her crystalline form vibrating with effort. "Logan," she called out, her voice resonating with a depth of feeling she'd never before experienced. "Focus on my voice. Remember who you are." She projected a powerful mixture of commitment, hope, and compassion into the void. Slowly, agonizingly, Logan's essence began to respond. Particles of light coalesced, forming the vague outline of a human form. Ceres pushed harder, drawing on reserves of emotional strength she didn't know she possessed. "That's it, Logan. Come back to us. Come back to me." The shuttle's sensors whined in protest as energy levels spiked. Logan's body continued to take shape, features becoming more defined with each passing moment. Suddenly his eyes snapped open, blue irises blazing with an otherworldly light. Logan gasped, his newly reformed hand grasping Ceres. A surge of energy flowed between them, and the void around them pulsated with increasing intensity. "Ceres!" Logan's voice was hoarse but filled with wonder. I can feel everything. The void, the ships, the entire cosmos. Understanding dawned in his eyes. The fleet, they're going to attack. We have to stop them. Logan closed his eyes, extending his consciousness throughout the void. He saw the Brunali warfleet bearing down on Zax's outnumbered research vessel. In that moment, drawing upon the vast knowledge gained during his merger with the Void, Logan knew what he had to do. "Hold on," he warned Ceres, his voice echoing with newfound power. The Void's iridescent swirls expanded rapidly, engulfing the Brunali ships and the research vessel. Instead of destruction, the energy wove through the vessel's structures, enhancing and evolving them. Aboard the research ship, Commander Zax's impassioned speech to Admiral Vex was cut short as the Void's energy washed over them. For a moment, Zax felt his crystalline form dissolve, his consciousness expanding beyond the confines of his physical body. He experienced a profound sense of connection with every member of his crew, every Brunali in the fleet, and something more. An awakening of emotional depth he'd never known possible. As quickly as it began, the sensation passed. Zax reformed, blinking in astonishment at the transformed bridge around him. The ship's hull shimmered with an iridescent quality, mirroring the void itself. Nearby consoles hummed with energy, displaying readings that defied conventional understanding. Commander," Lyra's voice was filled with awe. "Our systems, they're operating at unprecedented levels of efficiency, and I feel indifferent." Zax nodded, experiencing the same sensation. His logical mind remained sharp as ever, but now it was seamlessly integrated with a newfound emotional intelligence. He could sense the wonder, confusion, and excitement emanating from his crew. The view screen flickered back to life, revealing Admiral Vex's equally transformed visage. The sharp edges of his crystalline form had softened, pulsing with a kaleidoscope of colors that reflected his tumultuous emotional state. "Commander Zax." Vex's voice quavered. What has happened to us?" Before Zax could respond, a new signal cut through the chaos. Logan and Ceres' shuttle emerged from the void, its hull gleaming with the same iridescent sheen as the other ships. Logan's voice rang out across all channels, resonating with a power that touched the core of every Brunali present. "People of the Brunali fleet, there is no need for fear. What you're experiencing is an awakening, the integration of your logical minds with the full spectrum of emotional intelligence." As Logan explained the cosmic network he had created, linking all sentient beings through a web of emotional energy, Zax felt a profound shift in his understanding of the universe. The cold, logical calculations that had driven Brunali society for millennia now seemed woefully incomplete. Admiral Vex, his voice thick with emotion, spoke again. I withdraw the attack order. Commander Zax, your insights were correct. This is not a threat, but an opportunity beyond our wildest imagination." Zax nodded, his crystalline form pulsing with a newfound sense of purpose. "Thank you, Admiral. I propose a new mission, to explore the transformed regions of space and study the effects of this cosmic emotional network. We stand at the threshold of a new era of understanding and cooperation." As the Brunali fleet regrouped, now united in their shared transformation, Logan and Ceres docked their shuttle with the research vessel. They stepped onto the bridge, hand in hand, their bodies shimmering with residual energy from the void. Zax approached them, his crystalline form radiating a warmth that would have been impossible mere hours ago. "Logan Carter Ceres, on behalf of the Brunali people, I thank you. You've opened our eyes to a universe far more vast and intricate than we ever imagined." Logan smiled, squeezing Ceres' hand. "This is just the beginning, Commander. The network is already spreading, touching other species, other worlds. We've taken the first step towards a true galactic community." As if on cue, Lyra's console lit up with a flurry of incoming signals. "Commander, we're receiving transmissions from dozens of alien races. They're all reporting similar transformations, and they're asking for guidance." Zax turned to Logan and Ceres, his expression a mix of hope and persistence. "It seems we have our work cut out for us. Will you help us navigate this new frontier? Logan nodded, his eyes meeting Ceres. In that shared glance, volumes were spoken without a word. They had started this journey as two individuals from vastly different species. Now they stood as the catalysts for a cosmic awakening, their bond a testament to the power of emotional connection. "We'd be honored, Commander," Logan replied. "Together, we'll show the galaxy that emotions aren't a weakness to be suppressed, but the key to unlocking our true potential." As the transformed Brunali fleet prepared to embark on its new mission, the iridescent glow of the void shimmered around them. It was a constant reminder of the day that humanity's emotions, once dismissed as useless by the logical Brunali, had reshaped the very fabric of the universe. The cosmos pulsed with newfound life and connection, ready to embrace an era of understanding and harmony that would span galaxies. And at the heart of it all stood Logan and Ceres, their intertwined hands a symbol of the bridges yet to be built between countless worlds and species. The adventure was just getting started. In fact, it had only just begun.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.